Okay. Here we go again. I'm here, a few minutes late. Had to get some stuff together, but I'm here. Better late than never. It's going to be a quick one today, guys. It's going to be a quick one. Just wanted to getting on a little bit later than I wanted, but I wanted to get on and talk about some things that I see going on in the world. Y'all, as you coming into the room, be sure to hit the thumbs up button to support the channel. If this is your first time watching, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Smash the subscribe button. You know how it is. Smash the subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, be sure to hit the thumbs up button to support the channel. With that being said, you see the thumbnail, you see the title, you know what we're talking about today. What lessons can be learned? What lessons can be learned from 2020? You know, 2020 was a pivotal year in history. The powers that be, the rulers in high places, they used 2020 as a test run to see just how much they could get away with. How much control will the citizens in society cede over to them? It was the largest transfer of wealth upward, going to the richest 1% in history. Just a large transfer of wealth. The US government and governments all around the world worked together to shut down their own businesses. Told people you cannot leave the house. I was in China in 2020. I was in China. I lived in China in 2020. Came back to America. I saw what people were willing to put up with. People were accepting the fact that you can't leave your house. You gotta cover your face with a mask. You gotta inject stuff into your body. People, and not only that, but people shamed those, yelled at those who pushed back, yelled at those that said, hey, I don't want to inject stuff into my body. I don't want to cover up my face all the time. I don't want to shut down my business. If I have my business and these people are willing to go, let that be a decision between us. If they're willing to risk their life going into this restaurant or going into this facility, if they're risking their life, risking chances to get COVID, let them take that risk. That's their decision. If you want safety and security, you stay in your house. But people shamed and embarrassed, fired, cost livelihoods of those who said, no, I'm not ready to give up my bodily autonomy. If you're a nurse, if you're a doctor and you say, oh, I don't trust this new mRNA vaccine, let me watch my words because you know the algorithm. If you say, I don't trust this medical procedure, I think I'll wait and see what the long-term effects are, you're fired. You're fired. I work in tech, right? Do you know that there are people, they're tech contractors, government contractors that require you to take a medical procedure in order to work at home. The position is 100% remote. You're working at home. You're not interacting with anyone in the office, but you have to take a medical procedure. The long-term effects are unknown, but you have to take this if you want a job. Otherwise, you're fired. And that's to this day. That's to this day in 2023. To this day. So I think there's a conversation to be had here. What lessons can we learn as far as how much power, what's the balance between safety and security? What's the safety, security, and freedom? How much freedom must we give up in the name of safety and security? Now that threshold is different, as 2020 should have taught us. That threshold is different for a lot of people. For me, I value my freedom more so than I value my safety. To a higher degree than others, many others. When it comes to taking experimental medical procedures, I'd rather my freedom in this situation. I'd rather my regard in this situation. If you feel comfortable giving up your freedom and risking, because you're really risking, because you have no idea what the long-term effects of these things are. Mind you, under Trump, under the Emergency Powers Act, if you are injured by these medical procedures, you do not have the right to sue the government or the company, Pfizer or whatever, Moderna, whatever have you. You have no right to sue. So you are taking, what you're doing, you're taking drugs that have been created in the span of 6 to 9 months. You're taking it and hoping that there are no long term effects. And if there are, you cannot sue. Now, who's really risk? I mean, think about what the risk reward system is here. What lesson can we learn here? To have an entire country, more so an entire globe, yell at you and say, if you are unwilling to take an experimental medical procedure, you are fired. You should lose your livelihood. Matter of fact, police should come and lock you into your homes. I lived in China. I'm telling you, I saw people. Oh, you try to leave your home? They putting bars. They're putting locks, chains around people's homes. You cannot leave your home. You are on mandatory quarantine. This is a worldwide phenomenon. I'm talking about America, but I'm also talking about from a worldwide, global perspective, the lessons that we can learn. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button as you're coming into the room. But as I've seen governments, I've seen countries literally take chains and locks and wrap them around bars in front of people's homes and apartment complexes so that they cannot leave. We'll send you food through the window over this unknown virus, right? People in this situation have starved. Check out Google Shanghai. Google Shanghai in 2020, 2021. I know people who have starved. I know people who have died from, they had diabetes. They had diabetes. They were unable to get their insulin. They were unable to get their what's it called? DaVita, to get their medical their help for diabetes, insulin, and there's another procedure. I forget. It escapes my name. It escapes my mind what it's called. But they were unable to get help despite having these long-term illnesses. That the government sees them as, hey, we got to lock down the entire community. And the point that I'm trying to make is there was not enough pushback. People accepted out of fear. If you scare the public enough, people will accept all types of tyranny. Out of tyranny, you will accept tyranny, hoping that it will make you safe. That's one lesson that I've seen from 2020. I've seen people, family members torn apart. Family members shaming family members. Employers firing employees. Police officers locking down citizens. People starving. People starving and society accepting it. Now, one thing I know is if you don't study history, you are doomed to repeat it. One thing I know, if you are unaware, if you're uninformed, if you do not study history, you are doomed to repeat it. So I think every once in a while it's necessary to have conversations like this where we have a quick, it's called AAR. When I was in the Army, after every situation, we would have something called an AAR, after action review. After action review. What was supposed to happen? What did happen? What's 2 things you can improve? And what's 2 things you should sustain in the future? 2 things you can sustain, do again. 2 things you can improve, do better. All right, this is an AAR. It's important to have a debrief and an AAR after all these situations like 2020. 2020, we can't say what was supposed to happen because, every year is a little bit different. So let's say what did happen. 2 sustains and 2 improves. All right. Like I said, I want to keep this conversation short. I'm not going to be here all night. but I just wanted to come on here and chop it up with y'all a little bit. What did happen in 2020 that we should talk about, that we should focus on? Number one, businesses were shut down. Government mandated shutdown of private corporations, private businesses, mom and pop shops that to this day have never recovered. That's something that I've never seen before in my lifetime. I've never seen the government mandate that, oh, if you're selling, if you're a pawn shop, you have to close down, but if you're Walmart, you can stay open. What? So my pawn shop, I have a pawn shop. People can come in and sell their old rings and sell their earrings, and they can sell their skateboard and their bicycles. I have a pawn shop. You're going to shut me down? But Walmart can continue to sell the bikes, can continue to sell their rings and their jewelry and their clothes. A mom and pop shop that has been open for 50, 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, you're shutting us down? But Walmart and Amazon are open? Okay. All right. And when this is a capitalistic system, right? That's what you're telling me? This is capitalism? Okay. Check. 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 Okay. All right. I didn't know. I didn't know. I was confused. So you enlightened me, saying this is capitalism, where the government can shut down businesses, some businesses, and leave other ones open. All right. Yeah, that's free market. That's free market. So that's one thing that did happen. Another thing that happened is we saw the riots, George Floyd riots. We saw the cities burn. We saw entire cities burn, from New York to Minnesota to Atlanta. We saw the people hit the streets. Not only that, but we saw people get on code all around the world. It wasn't just here in America that people were protesting for George Floyd. There were people burning down embassies in Europe. There were people hitting up the U.S. embassies in Africa. There were people going up to the embassies protesting. Okay, so there's a level of unity there that I haven't seen before. The protesting, one thing I can think about from there is ultimately what changes have been made as a result of the George Floyd protests, the George Floyd killings. Ultimately, has any significant legislation or any substantial changes been made to the system to prevent that from happening again? I'm not so sure. I'm not convinced. But that did happen. We saw the George Floyd riots. We saw the shutdown, the mandatory shutdown of businesses. What's something else that we saw happen? We saw in 1 year, because mind you, by the time the elections in 2020 occurred, they were already rolling out this new jab, jab, right? So we saw a brand new mRNA medical procedure come onto the scene that it's never been created before. There's never been an mRNA procedure like the one that we're currently dealing with, getting boosted on. We've never seen anything like this before, but within the span of 1 year, less than 1 year really, in the span of 9 months, we have a new medical procedure that our neighbors, employers, and government has begun to shame, our mainstream media included, has begun to shame anyone who refuses to take this brand new medical procedure. Okay, all right. I've never seen that before. I've never seen that, but just me. I'm a young man. So I haven't seen everything, but I've never seen these three things. But the fact that it could happen tells me that it's possible it could happen again. If it's happened before, I cannot outrule and say that it could never happen again. Because I see how easily people were fooled, how easily people bowed down, how easily people folded to pressure, Peer pressure. Yeah. So I saw that. What's two improves and two sustains? Because like I said, I'm not going to be here all night, guys. Y'all be sure the thumbs up button. Y'all hit the thumbs up button as you're coming in. What's two improves and two sustains? As far as sustains, let's start with the sustains. The sustains I saw, I like the unity that came as a result of the George Floyd protest. Now, I think that the reason George Floyd had so much, there was so much backlash against that situation had very little to do with George Floyd himself. I think people were locked up in the house for months, and they were looking for any reason to break out. They were looking for any reason to go outside, and an act of rebellion and revolution against the powers that be, whether it be protesting peacefully outside, marching down the streets, or whether it be breaking into businesses and taking your pick of the loot. People were down. People were ready because they had had enough. Now, if something was to happen again, another 11-minute clip was to be filmed with the police officer, murdering an unarmed civilian. I'm not convinced that would happen again. But that's the type of energy it would be nice if we could sustain. Not only that, it would be nice if we could translate that activism, that rebellious spirit, that revolutionary spirit, if we could translate that into some tangible legislation, I think that would be even better. That would be a sustain. That's one. What's another sustain? Mind you guys, I'm just talking. I'm just on here ranting, giving you my perspective and my opinion. So this is not written down. This is just me chopping it up with the guys, chopping it up with y'all. What's another sustain that we could have from 2020? I saw the creation of a lot of businesses. Mind you, the PPP loans were in full effect. A lot of people moved online. A lot of people started working from home. A lot of people were able to remain resilient. People stayed resilient. People were able to bounce back, create an online presence. I think that was impressive. People now working from home. I worked from home for the first time after 2020. I think that opened our eyes to a perspective that most people hadn't been used to. Most people didn't know. Hey, I'm going into work, commuting an hour in and an hour back. That's 2 hours out of my day every day. And the work that I'm doing in the office, I could easily just use my computer and do it here at home. Now they're having trouble getting workers to come back into the office because people have seen, hey, this is unnecessary. I'm over here coming into the office all this time. For what? I'm more efficient. I'm getting work done at home. Let me save those 2 hours. I can put those 2 hours of commute time into me doing something productive right here in my at-home office. So I like that. I think that's something we can sustain. Working from home, yeah, we can sustain that. We can definitely sustain that. Now, what are some improves? What are some improves? What are some things we can improve? Now, there's a long list, a long list of things we can improve. So I'm going to limit it to two. For the sake of time, I'm going to limit it to two. Number one, we need not ever again shame others for valuing their freedom of choice. I saw people clowning the guy, remember his name? Kyrie Irving, point guard. He was working the Nets at the time, Brooklyn Nets. Oof. Yeah, Kyrie Irving, he was getting that heat for refusing to take this experimental medical procedure. This man sacrificed millions of dollars. He sacrificed millions of dollars for his own beliefs. And do you know people were online creating whole campaigns to embarrass him and shame him into taking something that he didn't want to take? This is a professional athlete, someone who is healthy, physically healthy, the peak of physical condition. This man has mastered his craft and created his body into a multi-million-dollar generating entity. Most people on earth will never have an idea or will never reach the ability, the physical fitness of a man like Kyrie Irving. And I'm talking about obese 250, 300-pound people are online tapping their fingers saying that this man is crazy. This man who watches his diet, watches his health, watches his weight, who has made a full career off of the health of his body, what he puts in and what he does with his body. He's generated hundreds, hundreds of millions of dollars off of his physical fitness. And obese, lazy people are telling this man what he should and shouldn't put into his body. We should never see that again. If you let me tell it, we should never see that again. People should have the right to take or not take whatever medical procedure they want to take. It's their body. Let them do it. Let them do with it what they will. If they want to put something in, that's their prerogative. If they don't want to put something in, that's their prerogative. We need to sustain that. And it's going to be very important in the upcoming years and decades as they start to move in this new one world currency. When they start to move in this new currency, this new digital currency, you having the choice of what to put into your body and not will slowly be taken from you. So that's something we should sustain and we should highlight. Not sustain, something we should improve. Something we should improve is the respect we give other people and honor their decisions as to what they will and will not put into their own bodies. We need to improve that. I saw just how quickly people can fold and say, "Oh yeah, you used to have a freedom of choice. I used to be pro-choice until it comes to what you got to put in your body. I'm pro-choice of what you can take out, but I'm not pro-choice in what you can put in." That was crazy. That was crazy. So that's something we definitely need to improve. That's something we can definitely improve. One more improve is on a worldwide level. I saw how many people who used to not trust the government just took and bought up whatever the government had to say as if these people are your friends. Let me tell you, these people are not your friends. The government, especially on the federal level, is interested in nothing more than continuity of government. That is their priority number one. Priority number one for any government is continuity of government. And when they make mistakes that jeopardize your livelihood as a tax-paying citizen, continuity of government mandates that they blame someone else. They point to someone else. They distract you from the truth. And to see so many people trust folks like Fauci. Oh, well, Fauci said 4, 5, 6 different things within the span of 3 months on video, lying. Not only is he on video lying, but admitting to lying, saying, yes, it was not good for people to wear masks. Then, no, you must wear a mask. Then, yes. He changed his story on those masks so many times. People asked him, hey, if you've already got COVID, do you need to take the COVID procedure if you've already gotten it? Now, in the past, we all know, anyone who trusts the science knows that the best antibodies are developed from encountering a virus itself. Once you encounter and survive a virus, your body has more antibodies and a better defense than he or she who has just taken a fresh procedure. But let Fauci tell it. You having already had the virus doesn't mean you don't need it. You still need an additional medical procedure, and you should be fired from your job, even if you've already had the virus everyone's talking about, everyone's scared of. Even though you've already had it, you've already survived it, you should be fired if you don't submit to their agenda. We got to improve. We got to improve what we are willing to accept. We gotta improve. We have to improve what we're willing to accept here. All right. Now, with that being said, let me play a quick video. And let me show you something why this is relevant. Now, in 2020, the whole world was shut down because of a medical scare, a global pandemic, right? In the future, I think there will be a grab on American and worldwide freedoms based on war and economics. War and economics. So let me play this video of Tucker Carlson kind of speaking on this. Y'all check this out. Let me cut my music for a second. Check this out.
And so if your goal is to maintain power, and if you think once you relinquish power, the problem with everything becoming the problem.
Hold on, I want to make sure y'all can see. Hold on. Let me make sure y'all can see this. There you go.
Once you relinquish power, the problem with everything becoming the problem with criminalizing politics is the people who do it imagine or know that it will be done to them. So once you start indicting your political opponents, you know that you have to win or else they're going to indict you if they win, right?
Right.
And so they...
Message. Once you start criminalizing these politicians, they have to win. Because as soon as they don't, they know that they are next on the chopping block. Retribution and revenge. We already see both Democratic and Republican politicians promising to go after Fauci. Check. We see people like RFK running on the Democratic ticket saying, if I'm elected, we're going to do an investigation on Fauci to see where was he lying, what knowledge did he have, was there gain of function testing going on in Wuhan? We need an investigation on Fauci and the origins of COVID. That's coming from a Democratic contender. Much less the Republican side. Y'all better not let Trump get into office because this is going to be like training day. I'm opening cases on all you. You see where I'm going with this? That retribution is no joke. Let's keep watching this video.
They can't lose. They will do anything to win. So how do they do that? They're not going to do COVID again. I know everyone on the right's afraid they're going to do COVID and mask mandate. They're not going to do that. They can't do that. If they've already been exposed, that won't work. There's going to be... No, what are they going to do? They're going to go to war with Russia is what they're going to do. There will be a hot war between the United States and Russia in the next year. And
really?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course. Now, Tucker Carlson is predicting war, hot war with Russia within the next year. That would make sense because you would think that if Biden is losing, he would want to instigate a hot war prior to the elections in 2024, November of 2024. So I do foresee a hot war with Russia. I would predict the same. I would agree that there's a high possibility that America gets into a hot war, hot conflict with Russia. Right now we're in a proxy war, but there could be direct confrontation with Russia. Now, I myself don't do predictions as far as timelines. I never say, oh, it's going to happen by next year. Listen, Tucker Carlson can say that. I don't do timelines. I see it happening eventually. I see it happening one day. I see it happening in the not too distant future. When? No man knows the day nor hour, right? No man knows the day nor hour. Tucker Carlson says within the next year. Let's keep watching.
But I think it's a political matter. They need to declare war footing in order to assume war powers in order to win. I believe that. And I think the evidence suggests that's true. So if you're worried about our politics getting like even more vicious than it already is, and people being hurt in our politics, which is entirely possible, you should be worried about the prospect of an open war. We're already at war with Russia, of course. We're funding their enemies. So we're fighting Russia. But I mean, an open battle with Russia where we say we're at war with Russia. I think that could easily happen. I think we could Tonkin Gulf our way into it, where all of a sudden missiles land in Poland. The Russians did it. Our NATO allies been attacked. We're going to war. I could see that happening very easily. So if you're worried about that, you need to put as much pressure as you possibly can on the Republican-held Senate to force a peace, which can be done. The United States could force a peace in Ukraine tonight. We're funding one side. There is no Ukrainian army outside of NATO. If NATO withdrew its support for Ukraine, Ukraine would crumble in a day. So we are the only power in the world that can bring both sides to the table to force a peace, which will be unsatisfactory as all forced peaces are. Like each side will give more than it wants, but that's the only option. Otherwise, I would bet my house on it. We are going to war with Russia. And
wow. Peace. Peace is the only option. Peace. Peace is the only option. And how do we get peace? It looks like the Republicans are more likely to give the American people peace. The Democratic Party is a party of warmongers. A party of warmongers and shamers. We're going to shame you if you don't fall in line. Can't make this stuff up, man. Listen, I'm going to have to make a whole separate video. I got some prior obligations I've got to tend to tonight. But y'all be sure to hit the thumbs up button if you made it this far in the video. Smash the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. I drop content just about every single day. You're going to see something interesting, a topic you probably haven't heard of. Hit the subscribe button. Come on back for more. We're in here for the long run. I'm going to be doing this for the long run. So y'all might as well join the party now. Get in on the ground level. All right. I appreciate everyone supporting me, hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing to the channel. I appreciate you all. Peace.